very late in the 19th century, the United States was busy becoming the master of its own continental territory, focusing on its westward expansion to the Pacific coast. So despite the Trump proclamation characterizing the Monroe Doctrine by saying, quote, "With those mighty words, every nation knew that the United States of America was emerging as a superpower unlike anything the world had ever known, and that nothing could ever rival the strength, unity, and resolve of a freedom-loving people." Well, that's not actually true based on ensuing historical events. It is part of the myth-making of America to say that the Monroe Doctrine at the time of its pronouncement was seen as this foreboding thing. No, Europe was like, sick, bro, we're going to just keep doing what we were doing. It isn't until 1904, when various European powers were trying to bully Venezuela into paying the debts it couldn't pay by sending boats into Venezuelan waters, that Theodore Roosevelt issued his corollary to the Monroe Doctrine to assert that actually it's our job in America to step into the affairs of the rest of Latin America to protect ourselves. In his annual message to Congress on December 6, 1904, Theodore Roosevelt said, quote, "It is not true that the United States feels any land hunger or entertains any projects as regards the other nations of the Western Hemisphere, save such as are for their welfare. All that this country desires is to see the neighboring countries stable, orderly, and prosperous. Any country whose people conduct themselves well can count upon our hearty friendship. If a nation shows that it knows how to act with reasonable efficiency and decency in social and political matters, if it keeps order and pays its obligations, it need fear no interference from the United States. Chronic
We really some bullies, aren't we? What type of scathing is that? If y'all niggas act right, that's like telling, that's like telling, that's like telling your girl, if you act right, things gonna be right. The moment you don't act right, we gonna have a problem. We some fucking bullies, bro. We we sound like the we sound like a bully, literally the toxic man in the relationship. Bitch, you better act right, or you gonna have to see me.
wrongdoing or an impotence which results in a general loosening of the ties of civilized society may, in America as elsewhere, ultimately require intervention by some civilized nation. And in the Western Hemisphere, the adherence of the United States to the Monroe Doctrine may force the United States, however reluctantly, in flagrant cases of such wrongdoing or impotence, to the exercise of an international police power. If every country washed by the Caribbean Sea would show the progress in stable and just civilization, which, with the aid of the Platt Amendment, Cuba has shown since our troops left the island, and which so many of the republics in both Americas are constantly and brilliantly showing, all question of interference by this nation with their affairs would be at an end.